Oh shit! Yes, so the last shot actually matters when it comes to the stun, because you can use that to disarm enemies of their weapons. See, I can't push them. I cannot push them. The mechanic is broken. Fix the fucking push detection, please. It's still not working. I need to restart the demo again so I can actually purchase from the Duke. Because I need the shotgun so I can dispatch these enemies easier and only deal with one. I didn't even realize the Duke was on this demo until one of my subscribers pointed out that he was in here. But the fact that he's in here just further proves my point that the Duke is a gameplay mechanic given a human body. He doesn't exist within the actual lore. Even if there is a cutscene of Ethan talking to him, it doesn't exist. He's not real. They're just giving him dialogue to give him some character, to give a gameplay mechanic some character. It doesn't mean that Ethan actually met him. That's just the one cutscene that I can completely excuse as being canon. This is the first time I'm ever using the merchant. So we have supplies. So we have a shotgun, Lemmy, high capacity mag, a hair trigger.
Securing goods is more important than anything. Anything, my friend. Bits and bobs? I see.
You cannot sell all your ranged weapons. You must have at least one. Okay, that indicates this game is designed for knife only. If they're actually making this a thing. If this game was designed for knife only, they would not have anything like this. This game is definitely designed for all the weapons. It's not designed for knife only. That's good news. But they need to fix the fucking hitboxes and the push mechanic.
Looking forward to testing it out.
Alright, but I need to sell the pistol so I can get the attachment for the shotgun.
Aha! This is all an investment.
The first time I'm ever using the shotgun in Resident Evil Village. I've only been using the pistol and the knife. Can you actually remove the parts from the shotgun like in Resident Evil 2 Remake? You can't. Okay. Okay, and now Cassandra's gonna appear. Why does every idiot on the planet try to shoot Cassandra and Bella?
I haven't cut open a man.
The developers clearly showed in the official gameplay trailer that you can't kill them with guns!
And just watch.
Are these people stupid? Why did they bother shooting her? The developers already showed in the official gameplay trailer that she cannot be shot. And that makes total sense. It's a bunch of bugs. They're not going to be susceptible to bullets. They're obviously going to be susceptible to fire. Like in Resident Evil 7. Like, you couldn't kill the Gnezdo from Resident Evil 6 with bullets. You could only kill the Queen. You couldn't shoot any of the little bees or wasps or whatever those creatures were. But having thought about the Gnezdo was a creature that utilized the central nervous system of a human. So that's why when you killed the Queen, the swarm would disperse, because obviously when you take out the brain, the entire central nervous system stops. So it works off that logic, because the Gnezdo was created by a human. So I'm assuming the same thing is probably happening with Cassandra, Bella, and Daniela. Maybe there's a queen amidst that whole entire insect swarm that is actually causing them to manifest their consciousness. Are these enemies invulnerable while they're on the ground? I'm amazed they survived a shot from the shotgun just then. I mean, it knocked them over, which is great. Just like Resident Evil 4, you cannot stop the enemies from rising, it seems. Like in Resident Evil 5, you could. Not in Resident Evil 4. Ow. I need to shoot them from a distance so I can only lure 2 of them. Getting up. If these enemies can take this much punishment from the shotgun, that's insane. Okay, he's gonna follow up with another sword attack, which is a horizontal attack, which is broken. Hitbox on the horizontal attack is broken. That one's dead. Because the animation it did looked a little odd. Actually, you know what? It's probably not best to get the attachment for the shotgun. It wastes too much money. I could definitely use that healing item. But I learned a couple of new things about the knife in this game. So in Resident Evil 7, you could knife and sprint at the same time, and it benefited the mobility of that game. But on this game, you can't. Watch. See? My sprint is completely cancelled out. It's not even carrying my sprint after the animation is finished. And the worst part is, it slows you down. And it still slows you down, even during the recovery frames of pulling up the knife again. How retarded is that? And also, you cannot knife continuously. If you just kept mashing R2 in Resident Evil 7, you could continuously knife, but in this one, you knife in sets of 2. So you knife twice, and there's a long pause in between. Yet again, another stupid design choice. Why is that there? Just why the hell is that there? It makes no sense. Why you could knife continuously in the other Resident Evil games, but in this one, you knife in sets of 2. There's no logic to it at all. It's bullshit. If that's gonna be an intended design choice, that's retarded. Like, there are certain parts of Resident Evil Village that just feel like it was designed by New Capcom. New Capcom, the same team designing Resident Evil 2 Remake, that was filled with a lot of questionable design choices as well. And same with, like, Resident Evil 3 Remake, but Resident Evil 3 Remake was a lot better in its polish compared to Resident Evil 2 Remake. It's just, I don't understand the logic and thinking behind designs like that. It's stupid.
Yes, I can see why you'd be interested in. Good day, then.
Alright. Like, everyone's only liking Resident Evil Village for the nostalgia factor, but right now I'm just very mixed on my opinions because the mechanics of this game don't really work correctly at the moment, and I know it says that the demo is missing certain functionality that's definitely compromising the experience. But define, in Capcom's mind, what exactly functionality is. Like, I just feel like this Capcom that's designing Resident Evil Village, as much as there are some really good design choices, I feel like they're going to miss out on the most obvious problems, because they're like, oh, it's an intended design choice. You can't call these bad design choices because they're actually intended. Oh, really? Getting hit by an attack that's hitting thin air when I'm crouching under it, the push detection not working correctly? Like, are you serious? And that's why I don't understand the guy who commented on my video where I'm telling Capcom that the push mechanic doesn't work. He's like, the demo doesn't work properly, dude. What you're saying is completely redundant. You're acting like the full game's released. Do you not understand how feedback is received on alphas and betas, you fucking retard? Are you serious? I'm so glad I deleted that guy's comment, but I saved his comment afterwards just so I can repeatedly laugh at it every time I stumbled upon it. He didn't flinch! What the hell? Oh, don't tell me that. Okay, no, it couldn't be. Do the enemies not flinch during their active frame period? Okay, never mind. It's probably because most of the shells didn't get there. Okay, the enemies can still die while they're on the ground. It made it seem like the enemies weren't taking damage when they were rising up off the ground, but thank God that's not the case. Grab. And the push mechanic doesn't work. I'm gonna be criticizing the push mechanic for like most of this video. Horizontal attack, you gotta strafe away because that hitbox is broken. How they could miss something as obvious as that is beyond me. Look at that. Probably should have kept my distance. Look at me, mashing the button, nothing! Nothing's happening! How do you mess up on something so simple? And then how do you mess up on that? Shitty hitbox on the horizontal attack. See right there? It's 3 shots to stun these enemies for the first time, but if you land the last shot around their arm area, it's a guaranteed stun on them, and they'll always be able to lose their weapon if you aim for their arm. And my God, these enemies take a beating. You guys are more durable than the Ganados from Resident Evil 4, that's for sure. I mean, it makes no sense though, because the shotgun is so devastating at close range, it dismembers limbs at that range. But it's not doing it with these enemies. And it seems like the 100% decap rate, which defines a shotgun in most games, and also in Resident Evil 7, it's not present with this game. That's disappointing. Look at that, no push. Bullshit. That's absolutely bullshit. These guys flail about so much. Cannot hit their arm properly. Wait, that did damage? What the hell? Why'd that do damage? This game is weird. I'm gonna name these enemies thralls, because I think thralls is a slave term, and these things look like slaves. Forced to go through the blood rituals. And I think Capcom said these are females as well. So these enemies are entirely female. And I think one of them is the Maiden. And in fact, when you kill some of these enemies, they drop necklaces similar to what you got in the Maiden demo. Is that hitting me twice? What the hell? What is up with that? There's just some weird issue with this enemy where it can hit you twice. And because it can hit you twice, it can do damage through your block. Which is bullshit. If this is how this game is going to be, this game's not going to be a good game. I hope to God this is not going to be the case. But what do I know? There's that bullshit attack. I don't know how I've gotten times where I've avoided it. Mashing L1, nothing. Nothing's happening. Okay, I gotta wait for the blood to go away, and then I need to wait a couple of seconds to not take any damage on the next block. Why is it not working? This push is broken! They're releasing this demo again, and they didn't bother to fix this issue. What the hell? He's taunting. Oh shit! I gotta be very careful of that. I need to keep my distance. I need this healing item. Why didn't I think of that before? I should have done that with the Duke. I should purchase 2 healing items just in case. Who plays with the weapons in these shortcuts? Just answer me that question. Oh, that reminds me, there is treasure throughout this entire area, and you can sell it at the Duke. So how much of this environment is breakable, I wonder? Oh, what's that? A crystal fragment. Nice. No, so there are shining objects, I believe. And when you shoot those shining objects, they drop and you can pick them up, just like in Resident Evil 4. But I need to sell all my handgun ammo.
Ah.
And I'll sell this. And I'll
I've gotten
purchase
some new stock.
that. Can always get more from just hitting a crate. More handgun ammo, I mean. Like, how are you meant to explore a demo if you're being timed? It goes against the very nature of Resident Evil, which is exploration. You're exploring in every Resident Evil game. And I mean every Resident Evil game. Don't think I'm not including Resident Evil 4, 5, and 6, because you were exploring in those environments a lot. But what does Capcom define as a functional game, I wonder, what does this team at Capcom, who's making Resident Evil Village, what do they define as functional?
Slice your jugular.
Because if they
Just watch.
favor a design
Alive,
that
dead,
just goes
makes
against the
you
very
prefer.
nature of games and functionality and actual properly designed gameplay, then that's just a new low. And I'm gonna lose any faith in Capcom if they don't fix these issues I've come across in the demos. Like, seriously, why would you want to knife 2 times and then wait for a long time? You're gonna want to be knifing continuously, like in every Resident Evil game. In every game ever! There's no justification you can give as to why Ethan is being forced to knife twice and then he has to wait. The stuns afterwards are pretty inconsistent. Not a big fan of that. Wow. Yeah, if you don't have all the pellets going in, they don't flinch properly. That doesn't make any sense. That is not how the shotgun behaved in Resident Evil 7. No push at all. I'm seriously gonna really throw a temper tantrum if this happens again. Look, no push! No freaking push! How do you mess up something so simple? It's the same case in the Village demo as well. And how do you mess up that hitbox? Just answer me that question. No push. Mashing L1. You can see me mashing L1. You can see Ethan's hand spazzing out, indicating I'm mashing L1. Nothing's happening. What do you bet I'm the only person who's actually figured out that the push is broken in this game? Because we all know how oblivious the Resident Evil community is to these kind of issues. Again. Garbage. That move is bullshit. I need to stop being close to them whenever they finish their combo string. So with the Lycans, whenever they did their weapon combo, their first hit was undodgeable, because it's bullshit and poorly designed, but their second hit wasn't. So you can actually dodge under the second hit, and then this one you can dodge the first hit, and then you can dodge the second hit if you get lucky, and you cannot dodge the horizontal attack. Wow, look at that animation. That is Resident Evil 2 Remake tech right there. Zombies had the ability to cancel whatever they were doing once they reached a certain threshold of their rising animation. Nothing. No push. No freaking push. No push again, because this game is struggling to actually make ends meet. That hit me? Like, does it have to be in the front? Like, let me just understand this real quick. Oh, he still does the recoil animation, even when the attack is not hitting directly towards him. The attack has to hit your front to not do damage. That is so stupid. So you gotta make sure it hits your front. If it hits your side or behind you, you're gonna take damage, even though Ethan is doing the recoil animation. So nice to be able to analyze this demo again. And I really enjoyed this demo, far better than the Village demo. And now after what I've discovered with the Village demo, with actually understanding the Lycans, it still hasn't changed my opinions on the Village demo. Just the strategies I had to resort to be able to deal with the Lycans. If the game actually worked properly, then it wouldn't feel so awkward. Then it'd actually have more excitement involved with actually discovering things that every other Resident Evil player, or fake Resident Evil player, hasn't been able to discover with the Lycans. Wow, again. I can't believe the shotgun does that. If you don't land those pellets, they don't flinch. That's not how a shotgun works. Do you have any idea the force a shotgun generates? There's a reason why it can dismember limbs at close range. Realistically. I wonder. No, it still does that same knockback animation. I was wondering if there would be a different animation in place. considering that this is supposed to be the darkest and most gruesome entry in the entire Resident Evil series, why is there no dismemberment in this game? The only form of dismemberment we see is to the head, but that's only with the Lycans. With these enemies, that's not the case. I'm hopeful that the dismemberment system will actually get some work. Because right now, for being the darkest and most gruesome entry in the entire Resident Evil series, the enemies just actually getting the hit reactions necessary to complement that overall design. I'm not impressed. I mean, yes, I'm fascinated by the knockdown generated by the shotgun, because really the last Resident Evil game to have knockdown was Resident Evil 3 Remake, and Resident Evil 2 Remake, the shotgun was worthless. Didn't knock over enemies. And then the shotgun in Resident Evil 2 Remake and Resident Evil 3 Remake actually dismembered enemies, but this game it doesn't do anything, and this is supposed to be the darkest and most gruesome entry in the entire Resident Evil series. So I kind of have a theory about that move, but I can't prove it properly. I'm thinking that the partial flinch generated by my hit will somehow angle the swing upward a bit, allowing me to dodge it, because I did see several moments in my original video where I was hitting that enemy with the knife, it made it flinch, and it seemed to cause me to get underneath that attack. Wow, nice animation cancel, dude. I hate that tech so much. It makes no sense for enemies to animation cancel like that. It's unrealistic. And it's just a cheap artificial handicap. It's such an AI thing. It takes you out of the immersion when you see that kind of stuff like that. Whoa, shit! That was a big mistake. Oh wow, the stun still registered even after I already elicited a stun with the shotgun. Oh, it said I could push him away. Why? Why could I push him away just then? Let me test the push out again. Still not working. Stupid game. If you're gonna be advertising that mechanic to the public, then actually make it seem like it works. Now that's the part that really pisses me off about the push mechanic. They advertised it in their official gameplay trailer as being an important part of the game, but when it's unable to even proc to make it reliable, and you take damage in the process with most of the attacks in this game, it's gonna feel like you're not gonna be using that mechanic at all. It's a non-existent mechanic. Again, nothing. Does it only work back here? Is it because of the ground I'm stood on? Is there changes in elevation that's preventing me from actually doing this push? Just... honestly. Is it a timing thing? Is it like Carlos's cross punch from Resident Evil 3 Remake? Nope, it's not a timing thing. No sort of indication that I can do it. I still can't do it. Still nothing. God, this push mechanic is so shit. Look at me, nothing. There's nothing. Why did they have to design it like that? Why can you only do the push after a successful guard? If they actually made it a mechanic that you can do at any point, then it would make a lot more sense. Like, it's such an arcadey process. It's such a gamey thing with the way they've designed the push mechanic on this game. Love the range on the shotgun just then. Whoa. Still alive, huh? Oh, god damn it. These enemies take a beating. I can't really understand the justification as to why these enemies take a beating. But at least they have some cool designs. Bullshit. Absolute bullshit, that attack. I'm just gonna be flip-flopping priorities right now. One moment I'll be doing the push mechanic. Other times I'll just be chastising the crappy detection on that horizontal attack. That I'm the only one who's actually figured out that it has a bad hitbox. Are you gonna rely on people like Shiriko or Kendo's Gun Shop Survival, whatever that YouTube channel name is? Are you gonna rely upon Carcinogen SDA, Ballback Soup, all those kind of people? No, I'm the only one who will find these kind of problems. Because those people don't devote enough time to these games. They might devote a lot of time to the older Resident Evil games because they're biased like that. But I am a true Resident Evil player unlike them. I like every Resident Evil game, old and new. Aside from Resident Evil 1 Remake and Resident Evil 2 Remake and the side games. I mean, Dead Aim was a fantastic side game. I still can't believe Carcinogen SDA played the Village demo and the Castle demo on normal difficulty. He played Resident Evil 2 Remake. He should understand that hardcore difficulty changes the parameters of the enemies. It's a big difference between normal and hardcore difficulty. Why did he not test that? Does he not understand that playing games with harder difficulties actually showcases the developer's true mindset, actually showcases the enemies being different, changes up certain mechanics that should work on normal difficulty, but they don't work on hardcore difficulty? For supposedly the best Resident Evil player, as considered by so many, he made some pretty poor decisions in Resident Evil Village. And it pisses me off to no end. I'm not even sure what difficulty Ballback Soup started on. I know he did the playthrough of the demo on hardcore difficulty. And I doubt even Carcinogen SDA has done anything on hardcore difficulty for this game. Or for this demo, I should be saying. Shotgun ammo, nice. I guess I'll take the time to see what the things look like. Why is there tape on this weapon? I love that intricate pattern on the shotgun. Is that a bird? That's a bird. They really fit the Great Depression era theme with the shotgun. Eagle Eye. I don't think that was the same brand as in Resident Evil 7. It looks slightly different. I know for sure that the pistol ammo... This is not the same pistol ammo from Resident Evil 7, I think. I mean, maybe it is, but the actual wolf looks different. What does that say on there? Wow, I can zoom in so close to these. Don't settle for gold, go with silver. Silver bullets! Nice. Nice homage to the fact that we have lichens in this game. Okay. Used for cleaning, disinfecting, and treatment. External wounds. For ringworm, eczema. Apply the amount corresponding to the affected area. Or apply with a clean cloth and paste it. Well, that's not what Ethan Winters is doing. And now for the knife. A well-used knife with a large blade. I hope there's going to be homemade weaponry. The homemade weaponry from Resident Evil 7 actually grounded the game properly. It wasn't just random military-grade weaponry sitting throughout the entire household. You know, the weapons were homemade, like the burner and the grenade launcher. They were made from household tools. That really benefited the survival horror aspect nicely with Resident Evil 7. Something that the other Resident Evil games never really did. And that right there, he must have hit my side, because how the hell did he hit me just then? Yeah, the game is really being strict on that. And you shouldn't have to be strict. Like, this animation, like, why should it do the recoil animation when I get hit from the side or from behind? It just leads to confusion, Capcom. And confusion is what Resident Evil 2 Remake was all about. That game did not communicate mechanics that well. Hitstun especially. Hitstun in Resident Evil 2 Remake is so inconsistent that you might as well be unreliable on that game. No push at all. Stupid game. Bad detection, awesome. Exactly what I'm expecting from a true survival horror game. That's exactly what I'm expecting from a survival horror experience. Moments where the enemies can cheat like that, just to give them the illusion that they're deadly. But if they require cheating capabilities like that, then they're not scary. They're just frustrating. They're weak. That's what I'll call them. So that's why Resident Evil 2 Remake's enemies were crap. The only diverse thing about the enemies was the kind of ways they could just screw you over. And people say the Resident Evil 2 Remake has a better enemy diversity than Resident Evil 7, where there's only 4 enemy types in Resident Evil 2 Remake. The zombies and nightmares were practically one enemy, because they felt the same. You had dogs, you had G-adults, you had lickers. That's not exactly that diverse of an arrangement. The only diverse thing was the kind of ways they could just screw you over, like I said. Resident Evil 7's enemies. You had the normal molded, bladed molded, fast molded, fat molded, the white molded. You get the different molded in the End of Zoe DLC. Like, altogether, that game has a way more of an enemy diversity compared to Resident Evil 2 Remake. I'm not even counting the zombies from the whatever the Ghost Survivors DLC. That's what it was. They don't count because they're just normal zombies with given parameters, like certain changes to their fundamental parameters. That's a sprint counter. That is a sprint counter. That is a sprint counter right there. That is a sprint counter. Yeah, this game has a sprint counter, like I noticed in the Village demo when I was first playing it. That is so cool, and it's a different animation as well. Look at that. You could tell that's intended. They're doing different animations, just like in Resident Evil 4. That is awesome. What a great mechanic. Yeah, that's definitely intended. They're doing different animations, very different to their normal combos. What a great idea. This is the one design from old Capcom that I really love, the sprint counter. Probably should make a separate video on this, that the sprint counter's back in this game. I still can't believe I didn't know this earlier, that the sprint counter was in this game. If it was in Resident Evil 7, Resident Evil 2 Remake, and Resident Evil 3 Remake, it should be in this game. I mean, in Resident Evil 2 Remake and Resident Evil 3 Remake, the enemies didn't do any kind of unique animation when they were trying to punish you for sprinting. It made it seem like the only reason they were punishing you was because your hitbox was extending when you were sprinting, so it wasn't necessarily a traditional sprint counter. But this is the traditional sprint counter right here. This is definitely the traditional sprint counter, like in Resident Evil 4. I mean, look at that, they're doing a different animation for crying out loud. And that does the horizontal attack just then, somehow. They have to be in a neutral state for it to be triggered, just like in Resident Evil 4. I don't know why I got that stun just then, because I barely hit that guy in the head. I don't know if the adaptive difficulty's in this game or not, and I feel like it's kind of having an impact given how much I'm restarting and how much damage I'm taking. But I just hope that on the highest difficulty, the adaptive difficulty is not going to be a factor to consider. If anything, the highest difficulty should have the adaptive difficulty at its highest level so that there's no changes and that the mechanics are going to be consistent and you can rely upon them. There's no sort of like misinformation of feedback. Like, there's no kind of miscommunication on how the feedback systems play out. That's how it should work on the highest difficulty. There's sprint counter I know and love. And there's that crappy horizontal hit, which I somehow avoided previously. If there's one thing I could definitely appreciate about this game compared to the demos for Resident Evil 2 Remake and Resident Evil 3 Remake, there's actually something to examine when it comes to enemies. Learning the enemy behaviors is something that's heavily encouraged in these demos, and I love it. But at the same time, it's heartbreaking seeing all the poor designs present with the enemies. It's absolutely heartbreaking that I'm seeing all these problems given how much I'm examining this game, because I'm a true Resident Evil player. The fake Resident Evil player would never try to examine their enemies. Plus, I'm Ethan fucking Winters. That's what I am. Ethan Winters is the best character in the Resident Evil series. He's the most badass character ever with no fighting experience. And look, he's coming across such sinister groups as well. I mean, when was the last time you saw anything as sinister as this in a Resident Evil game? Never. We've never seen anything like this. I mean, Resident Evil 1 kind of had that, but the enemies were just laughable on that game. This... They're really taking this seriously. This really feels dark and gruesome. It's just the lack of limb disarmament really brings the gruesome level down. Look, even when I'm knifing slowly, like, even when I'm knifing this slowly, I still get the long pause. Wait, what if I animation cancel that? So I can kind of do a 3-hit combo, but I shouldn't have to. It's just a fault in the developer's decision making. Just stupid. That's bullshit. Yeah, the shotgun... I don't like the shotgun so far. It's nowhere near as good as Resident Evil 7 shotgun, or Resident Evil 4 shotgun, or Resident Evil 5 shotgun. Definitely better than Resident Evil 2 Remake and Resident Evil 3 Remake shotgun, though. Wait, what? That didn't do damage? Why didn't that do damage just then? Explain that to me. I got hit by something and it didn't do damage. But that's the end of this demo. That was fun. Yeah, I chastised the push mechanic, I pointed out other problems, I mocked Carcinogen SDA, Ballback Soup, Kendo's Gun Shop, whatever that place is, that YouTube channel, and Shiriko. Those supposedly good players, but they can't do the simple thing of examining an enemy, or even playing on the highest difficulty. And then, debating the future of Resident Evil Village. It's been a blast. But, on a serious note, if these problems persist with Resident Evil Village, this is not going to be a great game. This is not going to be Capcom's magnum opus. The hitbox issues, the weird designs with the way you attack, I mean, those are just a couple examples of bad designs. I mean, the push mechanic is another bad problem with this game. If Capcom could actually define what they mean by lack of functionality within these demos, just... if they could actually define that, then I'd be a little bit more relieved. But if they can't define it, that's a problem. I'm going to be so heartbroken with this game if it ends up being a failure. I mean, everyone's going to consider it a masterpiece because people are so easily swayed by the superficial aspects. It's like they see this pot of gold, and they just go for it because that's the first thing that they see. When underneath all that is something more heinous that will just come out to attack you, and that heinous nature is the bad hitboxes and other bad designs present. And it's just... If that is the case, then this is new Capcom developing this game, not old Capcom. It feels like this game is kind of a mix between old Capcom mentalities and new Capcom mentalities. And really, it shouldn't be like that. It should be 100% old Capcom, but it isn't. And again, I could be overreacting, because, you know, lack of functionality within these demos, it's the first thing that's pointed out when you first start the demo. You press the button on your controller to select the demo. Tells you lack of functionality within the demo present. Certain features might not be working as intended. But I mean, you had plenty of time to put in these adjustments while we were waiting for the 60-minute demo. Why didn't you do anything? I mean, I understand that with like Cyberpunk 2077, which is a shit game, the demo is entirely different from the main game. They actually had to devote separate time to developing a demo. And it was very different to the final game. They didn't just take a portion of the final game and make that the demo. They made the demo a vertical slice, essentially. Something very different from the final game. And that's why that game's a piece of shit, because it didn't follow exactly what they said in the demo. The demo was entirely faked. But I'm hoping this is not going to be the same case here. I hope this is not like some vertical slice, like Cyberpunk 2077. If this is actually the final game, that's a problem. I hope this is not the final game. That's all I'll say on that.